Good evening, everyone. Today we are going to discuss about open system interconnection OSI. So OSI actually has 7 different layers, which will help us to understand about the communication over a net. So this is the first standard model for network communication, which is adopted by almost all major computer and telecommunication companies in 1980s. So starting with the first layer, this physical layer, followed by data link, network, transport, session, presentation, and application. So the first function of physical layer, the physical layer have most of the physical connecting devices like cables, wires that we use to connect or interconnect your devices, Ethernet, those kinds of connections are connected. So its main function is to bit synchronization. So it's like a clock which will be keep checking, like keep sending data each second. That bit rate control. So it will be controlling the number of bits that it is sent per second. Physical topology. So you might have already heard about different topology like mesh, bus, or star ring, etc. This is controlled by the physical layer. Next is transmission model. So we have two transmissions, simplex and duplex. Simplex is like from it's a one-way transmission, so data will be sent from 1 to E or A to B. In duplex, there will be a two-way connection A to B as well as B to B. Coming to the next layer, which is data link. Then data link layer, which is mainly physical addressing. They will be making the whole packet into a frame and they will be start adding physical addressing. Your MAC address of the sender as well as the receiver will be added into the header of each frame. Then we have error control. So it will dictate and retransmit that images or lost of any sort of frames. Flow control, the amount of data that it will be sent. And before receiving an acknowledgement, access control, device has control over the channel at a given time. They give a time limit for a device to have a control over a particular channel of transmission. Next is network layer. In network layer, we have routing, like your devices like routing table, etc. are coming here. So it mainly do path determination and logical addressing. So path determination is the routing. So it will the data, they will be deciding which path it should follow. Coming to logical addressing, they will be adding your IP address. So it follows ARP protocol, IPsec and all to determine the path and the structure and how to add an IP address. Next is function of a transport line. So the next layer, which is transport layer, and they mainly decide end-to-end connection and reliability. So TCP and UDP are the two main set of protocols that we add here. Segmentation and reassembling, the whole data will be segmented and it will be assembled. And when it reaches in the receiver side, the transport layer will reassemble the whole data depending on the sequence number. Then port number will also be added. So you might have heard HTTPS or FTP, all this have certain port numbers like port 80, port 23, port 20 and all. This port numbering will be also added in the transport layer. We have session layer. So session layer is actually inter-host connection. They establish the session connection between the receiver and your sender. So they establish, maintain, and do the termination. Once the connection is over, once the data is sent, you got the acknowledgement, the whatever connection unit will be terminated. So to identify the errors so that the data is resynchronized. If there is any error, data is not reached properly, the session will be resynchronized. Again, it will be synchronized properly to send the data or the message. Then dialogue control. So communication, it will be can be half duplex or full duplex. So either it will be a one-way connection or the two-way connection decided. Next is presentation layer. In presentation layer, actually the whole data was transformed translated either into a machine language or into a human language. So in a receiver side, it will be converted into binary to human language. And in case of sensor, it will be from human language to binary. And encryption, decryption, your compression, all these works are happening in the presentation layer. Next is application layer, which is the final layer of this. In application layer, there is a network virtual terminal. So the virtual network terminal is actually log on to a remote host. It will help you to log on to a remote host. Then your file transfer and management is done by the application. Mail service, directory service, message service, all are handled in the application layer. So let's see an example of how we can explain OSI. The first, Luffy sends an email to his friend Zoro. Step 1, Luffy interacts with email application like Gmail, Outlook, etc. He writes or she writes us mail which she wants to send. That is happening in the application layer. Coming to the next slide, which is presentation. The whatever mail you have created is encrypted and formatted for transmit. Third step will be session. It will be happening in session layer, that a connection is established between the center and the user on internet. After that, you have transport layer. Your whole email data, whatever you have created as an email, will be broken down to smaller segments. Then each segments will have some sequencing number and error checking information will be added. After that, addressing of packet is done. So MAC addressing will be, your IP addressing will be done on this part. Then routing will also be done. The transport, like from where to where it should go, which are routers it should be sent from one router to another center, the mapping, everything will be done. Next will be your data packets are changed, encapsulated into a frame where MAC address is added. That is happening data link layer. Then we are coming to the physical link. So here, either through a cable or through a Wi-Fi, the whole network will be sent. The opposite, and in the case of the receiver, the opposite would be happening. Physical layer, it will be moving towards up. So some applications are network design and implementation. So after you get to know about an OSI layer, you can create, even design or implement a whole network architecture, and you can implement different protocols. Troubleshooting and debugging. So since we know what are the different layers and their functions, if you have any diagnosis or you want to do some troubleshoot in a network for any issues, you can do that easily. Like directly you can go to or that particular layer and you can finish it. Protocol development. So since we know what are the works done by different types of layers, based on that you can create different protocols. You can use it as an education tool, like for teaching training, networks, and computer science. We will teach this particular topic. Network integration. We want to integrate two different network technologies. We should understand OSI layer. Then for security purposes, like for example, presentation layer, we are keeping encryption, and coming to data link, we have access control. Like that, each layer you can keep different types of security measures. Then performance optimizations. You can check what are the performance rate of each of the layers. Then if you want, you can improve it using different measures. Protocol mapping. Once you have created your protocols, you can map it according to the OSI limits. So that's all for today. Thank you.